Good evening. All right. Gotham, Metropolis, Emerald City, Xanadu, Babylon, to the ISS, and the rest of you. Before we get into the formatics of all of this nonsense, hi, I'm Scooter McGee. I really wish I could go back in time to February 24th of 2022 and, you know, done something else. This started as a lark, and the metrics can't be right based just upon the number of phone calls that and the amount of ball busting I'm getting. So it is 4/7/2022. We are going to try and have a Coke and a smoke. My throat is shot because of the last 96 hours of no sleep and wind gusts of 40 to 60 to 77 miles an hour that just make life impossible. Meanwhile, whatever is in the air now, whether it is a chemtrail or God only knows what, my throat has taken a beating. So it's still Coca Cola, but it's in a solo cup, so I can have ice so that if I need to coat my throat, you're going to forgive me. Now, I also want to hear what that sounds like on the microphones. It is the headlines of 4/7/2022. There have been a lot of, excuse me, there have been a lot of, it's ice, it'll melt. It almost made the bucket. Um, there are a lot of problems in the stories and the headlines of the day. And I'm realizing that more and more because of the sheer amount that I've written that I had to address earlier today. This notebook is just from 3:30. This one was started afterwards because all of this nonsense started in here. And although these transmissions began on February 24th, I don't want to have to, kick a dead horse. A project I was doing in January through the first week of February, but the first night of that first project, I asked somebody two questions. Did you see the story about the Canadian truckers? They said no. Did you see the story about the Russian troops in Belarus? No. We went on and did another 4 or 5 hours live on stream. Another project, The Conspiracy Keepers, myself, Backlash LaRue, and Joe Lanier. A recent add on, longtime career broadcaster Jackie Selby. I brought up some data points regarding the Russian military maneuvers in Belarus. I indicated things like, internet chatter and satellite photos are showing something that the media is not talking about. I reference 1991 and Gulf War One. And although the dates are not the same, they are similar. Those of you who don't know me, because you've never been to scootermcgee.com, you should go there. What kind of crappy website is that? I know. It's been a while. I'm an internet retard. I suffer anniversary syndrome. You tell me a date, I can in time and back. I know where I am, what I ate, where I worked, what I drove. If you tell me the day, oh, here's what was on TV. Here's who won this, and here's who did that. How do you remember all that? I don't know. I was dropped as a kid. Apparently, not enough. So in January, I started pointing out to the conspiracy keepers, if this keeps up, we have a problem. It's the Olympics. And in the world of war, there doesn't matter where in the world you are, You have to deal with certain fundamental issues. First of all, the logistics of getting all of this to there and keeping it supplied to engage what you want. You have weather. You have the lunar cycle that has nothing to do with astrology. And then you have, now in the 21st century, a new strategery. But in the world that I came from, of the military industrial complex, Cold War, War College, it's the Soviet playbook. So in January, when I started to see the Russian army, what I know as the Soviet troops, doing certain things, even though Western media wants to ignore it, that's fine. And then the Olympics and this nonsense of we're going to expel the diplomat. Oh, the athletes can participate, but we're not sending the diplomats. See, bad idea. And I go back in time where I'm safe. 1936, Charlie Chan goes to the Olympics. Where do all the spies go and meet and trade data? The Olympics. See, that's Charlie Chan, Scooter. You don't know what you're talking about. All right. How about Mr. Moto? How about Sherlock Holmes when they reboot him from the 1880s and put him in World War II? That was secret drone technology. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? The headlines of who dies. Wasn't the first Kennedy who was supposed to be a president? Wasn't he a remote drone pilot who died? And that's why, never mind. We're going to go down some rabbit holes, but maybe you can follow along or go do some research for yourself. How did Mr. Kennedy's first son die? He was a drone pilot in World War II? I didn't think we had drones back then. Because I'm going to give you a date and on this day history that you're not going to believe. That's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. Wow. We get to the Olympics. And I asked Joe Lanier, a.k.a. Joe Monaco, on the Conspiracy Keepers. Hey, Joe, do you think President Xi and Vladimir Putin have had a conversation? Or did the staff do it? Or is it at that level, do you think they actually talk? Well, it's not 2 weeks later. The Western media has to report that the White House shared data with China that, in fact, China shared with Russia. And, in fact, Vladimir Putin and President Xi of China had a phone call. You know, we still don't have the transcript of the 2-hour phone call between President Biden and President Xi that took place 3 weeks ago. You know how I know that? Because I took the notes. I wrote down what day it took place. It was a historic phone call, according to the media. It was very productive. It lasted over 2 hours. Where's the transcript of the phone call? You're not supposed to remember this stuff. I'm watching it happen all over again in real time. So, in the last 36 hours, the mayor of Mariupol has claimed the atrocities in his town alone make Mariupol the new Auschwitz. Holy in Christ, are you serious? Do you want to minimize the use of the word Nazi, Hitler, Holocaust? Are we done now? How many million Jews, gypsies, heterosexual, homosexual, transgendering, questioning, AIPI peeps in the room, ho, 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 that the Nazis been killed using the death camps like Auschwitz, like Birkenau? Are you out of your fucking mind claiming that? Mariupol is the latest. It's the new Auschwitz. We're going to be the new Auschwitz. That's where we're going to be. and let the media parrot that. You want to talk about neutering a word, unless you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, that word rings true. Scooter, you're rambling, you're down a rabbit hole, and you're not looking at the notes. Screw the notes. Don't screw the sponsors that are going to make me do this through the 4th of July. Because even General Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, oh, this is going to take a long time. Actually, the quote, wrong page. Yeah, there's 6 pages today. General Milley, where are you? Are you hiding in a flight suit that's now multiple gender? General Milley, um, when it comes to Ukrainians, please, for weapons, weapons, weapons. Bad idea. This was sold to us as ammunition and nutrition and anything in between. That's defensive. Sending weapons is offensive. You are escalating World War III. We can't call it World War III. This is the first war in history where atrocities have been committed and war crimes have taken place, and we don't have the suspect in custody. You trying to change the narrative to create a politically woke world is not going to work. You got in a rabbit hole looking at the notes. I'm watching it happen again. You're a conspiracy theorist if you don't think President Biden is the most powerful man in the world. He is the leader. He's doing a great job. Vladimir Putin is the problem. Yeah. While the Rapid Response War Room is busy trying to figure out President Biden's approval ratings, has anybody taken a look at Vladimir Putin's lately? From October last year to January of this year versus today, he has a 83% approval rating. By the way, the Russian people love him. You know what else? They hate Americans. Only 48% of Russians hated Americans at the end of 2021. That number has jumped. James Carville right now has a hard on. 72% of Russians hate Americans. Not Joe Biden. You. There you are. There you are. Where are you hiding right there? Where are? Hi. Good to see you. Let's send them tanks. Let's send them suicide drones. Well, we can't get the fighters and we can't get a no-fly zone. You are escalating World War III. This isn't World War III. Then why do you keep calling it a war? Because we haven't declared war since World War II. All right, enough of this nonsense. I wanted to go down the rabbit hole to a point that I can't get till I get to that headline and on this day. It is 14 after the hour, 1 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Moscow, 3 p.m. Tokyo. Add 14 minutes on the back end. The guys in Beverly Hills just got mad. You were supposed to just go off on a tangent. I can't. I got to get to that date. The first black female vice president of the United States. Everybody's going to breathe. We're going to breathe and we're going to get through this. No, we're not. This war is going on for 30 years. I said that 2 weeks in. They don't have to invade the homes. They have to choke off the cities. We learned in 2020 that people are willing to be quarantined. They're being starved to death. Yeah, it's part of the Soviet playbook. Choke them off. They stole all the food. Yeah, it's rape, rob, and pillage. It's a war. It's inhumane. It's immoral. It's unjust. It's illegal. What war is? The first black female vice president of the United States cast her vote and confirmed the first black female. Are we sure we're allowed to say those words? I mean, we're appointing a female who doesn't know what a female is. A female is different than a woman. Thank you. I did not know that. In a bipartisan vote of 53-47, three Republicans jumped over. I mean, they showed that they were rhinos to begin with, but the other 47 walked out of the room, except for Rand Paul, who showed up 16 minutes late to delay the procedure. He was busy elsewhere. Ketanji Brown Jackson was watching the vote with President Joseph Biden, and when the vote was cast, they hugged. In her speech, Ketanji Brown Jackson hopes to inspire generations. Are they allowed to say that word? She doesn't know who but okay. All right. Who's her Secret Service detail? Does she get one? Because we're short a couple of Secret Service officers. There seems to be a little problem with potentially a couple of people who have passports that have Pakistani and Iranian visas who've been arrested, who apparently posed as Department of Homeland Security agents and attempted to gain the favor of four Secret Service agents. And well, they're not in the room anymore. But one of them was allegedly on Jill Biden's detail. You know, President Jill Biden. You might have heard of her. Ukrainians are now pleading for weapons, weapons, weapons. As I said, General Milley is pointing out this will not be an easy or quick war. He said it'll be a long slog. I said the other night, a twat's a twat, and that's that. I don't know what a slog is, so I'll reserve judgment. Ukraine is accusing Russia of using the food crisis and the hunger of Ukrainians as a weapon. Choke them off, starve them out. This ain't rocket science. I told you in the first 10 days of this Bugatti, you people don't understand. Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. Oh, good. Because now that the Russians have disrupted the planting season, this will disrupt world food supplies for possibly years to come. You know, the world revolves around a 90-day growing cycle. Who put that fucking propaganda out? The Russian soldiers have stolen everything. They've looted and they've robbed us and they've raped the women. That's what the Soviet playbook calls for. I hate to point out eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but you know, that whole blitzkrieg and the Russian front and the jokes on Hogan's Heroes, they don't seem funny anymore now, do they? The problem is the Russian people have been brainwashed. President Putin has an 83% approval rate. You know, at the height of the Gulf War, then President George Herbert Walker Bush, GHBW 41. GHBW, that didn't sound right. George Herbert Walker Bush 41. He had a 91% approval rating. Hey, never let the facts get in the way of a good story. Read my lips. What the did you just say? The voters loved you, and you just kicked them square in the nuts. The cities are being choked off. Yes, that's part of the Soviet playbook. Russia is blocking the food shipments. Yes, when we quarantine a city, it means nothing goes in, anything comes out, you're shot as a spy. So many of the dead in Ukraine have bullets in them. I'm what part of you show yourself, you get shot. You could be a saboteur. You're not in a uniform. Hey, once war is declared, we'll have rules, but there's no war right now. We're liberating Ukraine from the fascist Nazis, and the Russians are believing it. America and the West is just overwhelmingly stunned that so many people could be brainwashed into propaganda that's simply not true. When's Donald Trump going to get back on Twitter now that Elon Musk is on the board? Oh, you mean so the argument of free speech on Twitter may just be like professional wrestling? I don't know. COVID cases are up now 2.9% in the United States, as Dr. Fauci is worried there could be a surge this fall. Good for him. Severe weather continues in the southeast with 70 tornadoes. Stop the car. Stop the fucking car. Hey, Lester, try that again. How about almost 70 tornadoes in 6 states over 4 days? And a funnel cloud that touches the ground. That's a tornado. The porta potty that fell over. We have a destroyed structure. FEMA's going to need more money. Their erection and hard on to push climate change is nauseating. How many Major League Baseball games were suspended due to cold weather and rain? Tell me again what was wrong with the Metrodome? I don't care whose family gave you the concrete to build the fucking thing. Based on a Roman recipe, by the way, which would have meant it would have lasted as long as the Colosseum. No, it didn't have enough VIP skyboxes. Pieces of garbage. Do we want to go back in time for on this day? Not yet. We have time. Let's go through the rest of the headlines. Federal Reserve announces that they are going to most likely have to raise the interest rates to curb recession or possible more inflation. Wait a minute. Who said the bagel word? Will most likely rise their rate another 0.5% at their next meeting. Deutsche Bank is the one who said the bagel word. Deutsche Bank says this printing and the money and the behavior of the U.S. economy can't last anymore. They should be in recession by late 2023. No, recession is defined by 2 negative quarters of GDP. Somebody want to go look at the last 3? You want to see what's trending on Twitter, Kanye? You know, by the way, it's May, last week of May, first week of June 2020. Because last night I wrote it down. Where's Jorge in here? There he is. 2020. Jorge, is it me or is this song overplayed? And it's the song by The Weeknd, which is what the media ran. And we're going, and the $8.5 million, and that's his money. Yo, he got paid. Wow. This is on the news? Isn't this guy like overplayed? That was May, June of 2020. And it's April of 2022. And they wonder why I'm going nuts. They wonder why I ramble. There might be UFOs. We're waiting for the latest government report. There may be some revisions of history that we forgot to tell you. It was for your own good. There's no conspiracy. New legislation hopefully will be being unveiled from the United States Congress, passed by the Senate, that will put unruly passengers on a permanent no-fly list, and you'll never be allowed to fly again. Put your mask on. Police in Los Angeles again. This mystery van, aka the Mystery Machine. They allege they found enough fentanyl to kill 5 million people, along with 800 pounds of meth. Nobody seems to be talking about the meth, or the fact California and Title 42 and the border problem and sex trafficking and white slavery and drug trafficking and Chinese fentanyl and the Mexican drug lords and the cartels. It's a good story, though. Maybe it's going to divert attention from the Sacramento shootings. Tiger Woods is back at Augusta, and he shot a one under par. Okay, and I'm sure he could do that in his sleep when he was on Ambien. Is there anything else? Oh, the United Nations did vote to remove Russia from the Human Rights Council. They haven't been kicked out of the UN yet because we need to draw this out. We're negotiating. We have peace talks going on in Brussels. We have leaders meeting in Turkey. We have the UN and NATO and the European Union. They're all meeting and gathering. This is going to take time. What do you think? We could just turn the war off? Dear God, please don't listen to Sean Penn when it comes to the use of tactical nuclear weapons. Are you people out of your minds? They might be. I don't know. Do we have time? We do have time. So this is another against my better judgment. Let's have a sip and a smoke. To the Raylofts over at City. Sorry. Again, I am so conditioned to that popping out. To Senior Rayloff and to Junior Rayloff over at Silver Mountain Jewelry and Pawn. What was City National Pawn and all the gags we did for them on the Scooter McGee show. Apparently, someone told them about the number one podcast that nobody knows about and fewer people watch. And so Scotty was like, "Here, I got something for it." Oh, dear God, don't make me do this. Because if anybody knows what I did to Plaza del Monaco, you want me to install how many of the. All right. By the way, Jackie, this is for you as a prop for your desk. Okay, so don't worry about the light. However, you do need to call me so that I can put a conference call with you into Maddie and to Rudy and get you access to the Boneyard in Nevada. And I use that term wrong. It is no longer called the Boneyard, but I don't want out because most don't go to the museum and see the crap in Vegas. All right, on this day in history. So thanks to the Raylofts and thanks to Silver Mountain Jewelry and Pawn, we are going to be doing some gold giveaways, some silver giveaways, and some gun giveaways. And we will roll that out at the 4th of July. So please support this project. Please like, please share, please comment, or please go away and stop telling me what to do. It is on this day, 4/7/2022. You are such an ass. Look, I'm sorry. All right. It is on this day, 14. Did they hang up on me now? Good. 19. It's not 1949. It's 1449. The last anti-pope, because we have the pope. What about the black pope? Shh. He's not dead yet. My vote is still for Cardinal Pepe. 1449, the last anti-pope, Felix V, was abdicated from his throne because apparently Felix didn't keep it clean enough. 1922 was Albert Bacon Fall. Excuse me, I hate these things. He was the Secretary of Interior at the time for the United States, and he decided to lease the strategic oil reserves to then Mammoth Oil Company. That became known as the Teapot Dome Scandal. 1927, the first public demonstration of now back in the rabbit hole we go. World War II technology. You really should watch Charlie Chan Goes to the Olympics. And I forget what it is with Mr. Moto. and Sherlock Holmes and the Secret Weapon. Again, you hide in plain sight. How does an expat of the Irish Mafia coming out of the 80s and the turf wars and the Gambino nonsense and then the conviction of the death of Paul and the conviction of John, because you hide in plain sight. Be a good earner, keep your mouth shut, and change your name. Really wasn't using the name I had anyway, and I embarrassed enough people with that, so okay. The names in history and how they change, but they don't. They stay in power. So in 1927, the first public demonstration of the one-way video phone took place. AT&T demonstrated it out of New York, and they had a conversation with Herbert Hoover from the White House. 1927. Charlie Chan, Mr. Moto, Sherlock Holmes. Secret drone technology. And how do the spies move it around? We're going to get there quicker. We're going to get on the Hindenburg. Think about Charlie Chan going to the Olympics. He was a humble detective. Look at what it took him just to get from Honolulu to Berlin. Next. It is on this day, 1933, before Prohibition ends or is repealed, low alcoholic beer is made legal in the United States. That's how you know it is National Craft Go Screw Yourself Day. It's handcrafted beer. You know, I actually hear radio commercials advertising handcrafted grilled cheese sandwiches. Are you in high? It's a handcrafted peanut butter and jelly sandwich like mom used to make. Holy, are we dead? We are dead as a species. And I miss the good old days, World War II history. 1939, Benito Mussolini makes Albania a protectorate. So he needs to install, they're not 220, they're only 110 volt. So he installs a leader. It's King Zog the First. How come we don't have a King Zog the Second and the Third and the Fourth, like the anti-pope Felix the Fifth? Zog doesn't sound like a good king. I joke that going into exile is underrated. 1947, Henry Ford dies at the age of 83. 1948, the World Health Organization as a branch of the United Nations is formed and officially established. 2001, NASA launches the Mars Odyssey spacecraft. And 2012, Mike Wallace assumes room temperature at the ripe old age of 93. 32 after, 34 after, anywhere you are in the world. Okay, we're going to call this a night. We're going to call it a bad day with a good view. How's that? Find me on the World Wide Web, scootermcgee.com. You can engage me on social media. You can support the project on Patreon. You can follow me now on Rumble. Scooter McGee, as my name is spelled with the number 1 in front of it, because somebody else is trying to impersonate me, and I don't know why. Be well, be safe, be kind, and be very leery of the headlines. Meanwhile, subscribe to my page and you'll get the regular nightly show as well as updates that I'll be doing throughout the day for the next at least 90 days, because this war ain't stopping anytime soon. The problem is, Scooter Damas pointed that out before the closing end of the Olympic ceremonies in what was February. I don't have my 31-hour watch on, so I don't know what time it is. Means I have to go. Good night, everybody. Be safe.